Today is the mystery box challenge. I have my package here. It came from Jennifer from A Little Bit of Calm and Crazy. I am so excited to open it. Also a little nervous because I never know what we are going to get in these boxes. Today it was anything goes, so the sky's the limit. So let's open this box and see what's in it. I have been sent some pretty crazy stuff that we have DIY'd with. Everything from a plastic dog bone to a dog bowl. It seems like there's a lot of animals involved. Okay, first thing is there's a card. It's a little long, so I won't read it this time, except for it says the challenge items are a little out there even for me. Oh my word. That makes me a little scared. I just know if anyone can bring the fairy dust and shape them to her will, you can. Can't wait. Love, Jennifer. Okay, I am super nervous. Bless this nest. I've worked with something similar to this before, so not too scary yet, but we haven't got to those challenge items yet. So, okay, then we've got, oh, this is the challenge item number 1. I'm gonna set that aside. I don't know what that is. We've got some laser cut crafts, like some stars. Those are cute. Some pine cone ornaments, super cute. I don't even know what we're gonna do with this box yet, so we'll see. Some wood shims. That could be fun. What could we do with that? Scrabble pieces, some napkins. Okay, this is some black and white striped, it feels like a knit fabric. Okay, nothing too crazy yet. I'm sure she's setting me up for the fall with the challenge items. Some black and cream ribbon, so there's definitely kind of like a black and white theme, like a winter white. So maybe we can do something kind of wintry. Some wood dowels. I love a good dowel. And then some chain. Thinking. Let's see what we could do. And challenge item number 2. I'm just gonna toss this box out of the way so we can kind of get in the nuts and bolts of it. Challenge item 1. Well, the bag's cute. It's got that going for it. I don't know what this is. I'm scared because people are trying to stump me. Okay. I have a feeling, and I just, oh, okay, glitter. I thought it was like a giant Lego piece. I mean, because it has the hole here and the top here. I was really thinking it was a Lego piece. This I can work with. This glitter is beautiful. That is really cool. Phew. I got a little false sense of security here because I still have to open this. Okay. Mixy, squishy, textured air dry clay in some pretty crazy colors. This looks like a kid crafting kit. I'm gonna have to think on this, so it will be a few seconds your time, maybe a day or two my time to kind of contemplate this box. We'll start creating. All right, so I've had some time to think and I have a plan. The plan is that we are gonna try to make these items into DIY Christmas gifts. We'll see how we do. We're gonna get right into the first one, which is going to be using the knit fabric that she provided me. It was kind of stretchy. I was thinking about it and I'm like, what could I make with this? And I'm like, well, that would be a really cute cardigan. And so that's what we're gonna be making, is a knit cardigan. It's gonna require no pattern. I followed a tutorial and I am going to provide the link to that tutorial in the description box below because it was very thorough, very good. And I think it will be really helpful to you. I'm gonna do the best I can explaining how I made mine. It was a little bit different, but not too much. The first thing we're gonna need to do is grab some measurements for our fabric. We are gonna take a measuring tape and we're gonna open up our arms like this, getting it over our bust. My measurement is 58 and we are going to half that. That's what she said to do. I ended up using 26 inches for it. I don't know if that was right. And then she added a ½ inch to that measurement. Then what you're gonna do is you're gonna take a measuring tape and measure from kind of your neckline in the back to your waist. That was about 20 inches for me, and you're going to double that measurement. Then she added 2 inches to that one. So my end dimensions ended up being 42 by 26.5, and we cut out a big rectangle in those dimensions. The next thing that we did is I sewed the long sides in a zigzag stitch because it's a knit, and if you pull on it, you don't want the straight stitch to snap. So that's why we kind of did a zigzag stitch on this. And we did a little hem on the top and a little hem on the bottom. Now on hers, she ended up making a collar. I didn't do it on mine, but I really think that that would be kind of a fun addition. I put the finished side up, like the side that we wanted out, and then we proceed to fold 2 triangles just to see the ends. But honestly, all it really is kind of folding it half and doing seams down the sides, right sides together. But this just kind of helps you visualize what we're making here. So, and this is how she did it in her tutorial. I did all of my stitches in a zigzag stitch because of that knit stretch, and there were really no straight stitches on this one. And then we laid it out and we made a triangle. And then what you wanted to do is take a measuring tape and get the measurements of she did her wrists, I did it kind of to like my forearms. Mine ended up being 9 inches. I halved that. We are going to take that measurement and find where it lines up with 4.5 inches, and then you're gonna cut a hole for your arm on the tip of that triangular point. And then you're kind of gonna do a gentle curve in it so that when it opens, it kind of has a circular shape to it. Okay, so hopefully you're following me. So then we are gonna cut out our cuffs, and we're gonna take those same dimensions and we're gonna cut the 9 inches by the 8 inches out. And then we are going to sew it down, right sides together. And then we're gonna flip that over on itself so it's folded in half and creates a cuff. Then we're gonna take this seam and we're gonna line it up with the other seam, and we're going to take some fabric clips. That's what I ended up using for all of mine. I love the fabric clips. And then we're going to line up those seams where you've got the triangular shape, and then line it up to the cuff, and we're gonna put that on the outside. The cuff is going on the outside, and we're gonna clip there. Then we're gonna find halfway on both other pieces of fabric and clip there, and then we're gonna do the same thing on the other side. So we have 4 clips kind of holding it into place, as you kind of see me doing here. Once we have it clipped into place, it's gonna look kind of like bunched together, but once you put it on the sewing machine and you are stitching around in that zigzag stitch again, you can kind of pull it. So you're gonna have 4 points, and you're gonna wanna make sure you kind of stretch it to where it lines up, and it will all work out, I promise. And so you're gonna go all the way around, and there you have a cuff, and you repeat that on the other side, and it's a simple cuff. And that's it. And here we have our cute cardigan. I do think it would look really cute with a collar on it. I didn't put it on this one, but it was super simple. We didn't need a pattern, and we made it out of the knit fabric that she sent me. And I think this would be a really cute gift for yourself, or in my case, I think I'm gonna give this to my mom. Before I get to my next DIY, I just wanted to tell you really quickly about the collab this is a part of. This is put together by Courtney from Creative on the Cheap, and I was sent my box from Jennifer from A Little Bit of Calm and Crazy. Then I sent my box to Caitlin by Cross by Caitlin. She is so sweet. So if you wanna see what I sent her, you'll want to watch her episode next, which I will link in the description box below, as well as the full playlist. So if you want to see what everybody is doing with their mystery box items, it's a lot of fun, and I think you'll like it. So go check that out afterwards. And she always throws in a little twist. I'm not going to tell you what it is quite yet, but it is a little off the wall, and I'm going to be doing something a little crazy this time, a little out of the box for me, but it's going to be a lot of fun. So you're going to want to stick with me to the end to find out what that is. Hold up, I am on my way. I'm in Okay, so for our next DIY, we are going to be using the glitter, which is our first challenge item. It's really pretty. When I saw this, I'm like, that is so beautiful. And what I thought we could do is create a beautiful necklace that I can give to my daughter. We're gonna start by taking how long of chain that we think we need. I kind of eyed this, lay out your chain, and then we are going to basically sew the ribbon into the chain. So a really important thing that you need to know when doing this is you need to make sure that the chain is all faced the correct direction, as it can kind of untwist. So what I did is I threaded my ribbon through kind of a giant needle that I don't know, you can get it at Walmart, you can get it at any craft store. It just needs to be a very big needle with a big head that you can kind of thread that ribbon through. And it's gonna kind of bunch up the ribbon, and that doesn't matter. And then what we're gonna do is we're gonna just stitch it up and down and up and down and up and down and so on and so forth until we get all the way done. And then what you're gonna wanna do is on those end pieces, you're gonna wanna tie kind of a knot around each one of those pieces so they kind of hold in place. And that's it. It's a pretty simple process. Just making sure that all of those links are faced the correct direction. When I first started it, it wasn't doing it that way, so I had to go back in and correct it. But we got it all the way it needs to be. And then you just finish it off by tying it in a bow on the back side, and that's really cute. So just make sure you leave some end pieces for that. Now you might be asking, what about the glitter? What we're gonna be doing is we are gonna be taking an epoxy resin and we are going to be making a resin necklace. Now, at first I didn't know whether I wanted to do an oval or a rectangle. I had both of them in my stash. We are allowed to use some items from our stash, and I just wasn't sure what way to go. So I tried two methods. All you need is a resin kit, and it's really quite easy to do. You take equal parts base and then a hardener, you mix them together in a kit. As long as they're equal, you mix it for 2 minutes. And then we add in some glitter, and I was very generous with it. So it was pretty opaque with glitter, which I ended up loving. And then we poured it into our forms. And so I just went ahead and tried it out both ways, one in the oval, one in the square. And then you fill those up to where they're just a little bit mounded and let that sit for about 15 minutes to let any air bubbles subside that will. Now there's gonna be some that don't subside, so all you need to do is take a lighter and kind of get that close to the resin after about 15 minutes, and it really dissipates those air bubbles till they're gone, and it really helps the resin to be like shiny and clear. So that's a really good important step not to miss. Then you're gonna let it dry for at least 12 hours. 24 hours would be more preferable, so it's nice and set up. I thought it would be really fun, since I'm making it for my daughter, to go ahead and cut out some shimmery silver vinyl that says her name on it, Riley. I cut that out in kind of like a metallic vinyl, and you do need to use strong grip transfer tape because otherwise it won't stick to that metallic finish. It doesn't, the regular stuff won't hold on and grip it. And then we center it up. I ended up going with the rectangular one. You center that up on that and rub it into place, peel back, and you have a really cute necklace. Okay, so now we need to attach it to our ribbon chain. And so the way we're gonna do it is in this kit that she gave me, and I'm guessing it's from Walmart. I'm not 100% sure where she got it, but it came with like a hook and a ring for it. And so what I ended up doing is I ran the ring into the top of our pendant and attached that to the little claw clasp thing. I know all these technical names are. Anyways, I got them all together. I kind of clamped it back in place with some pliers so it was nice and solid. And I just found center on our necklace and clipped it on. And I just love this necklace. It's super cute. If you wanted to recreate this, it wouldn't be very expensive. You could make them en masse and make them for a bunch of your friends. And I think that this will look super cute on my daughter. I hope she really likes it. But more importantly, when she looks at it, I hope that she thinks of mom and knows that as long as she remembers who she is and where she comes from, that she will never lose that glitter and sparkle. I know, a little cheesy. That's what I hope she thinks of when she gets this necklace, but it's really cute, right? What am I supposed to do with this? This is like kids' squishy textured air dry clay. Ugh. Okay, so for our next DIY, we are going to be using the shims and the wood stars that she sent me. When I first saw the shims, I'm like, what am I going to make with those? What I came up with is we are going to make a Christmas tree out of shims, and it's going to be super, super easy. So the first thing I did is I kind of laid out the sides of our Christmas tree, and we're going to just be assembling this with Gorilla Hot Glue. It's really strong. I think it's going to work just fine. And what I did is I measured out about 2.5 inches with my ruler, and I took the shim and kind of made a mark, and then I did that 2.5 inches and 2.5 inches, and we used 4 pieces. And then we put some hot glue on each one of those pieces, lined it up with a line, and up all the way up the side, and we have one side. Now once that was done, we kind of did the same thing to the other side and used the first one kind of as a template so that they were nice and even on each side. So I just kind of laid it down and used it as a guide, and then hot glued the other side in the same manner. And then we needed a base for it. And what I ended up coming up with is I kind of just figured out how wide I wanted the tree. And then I took my miter shears and clipped off the end of one of the shims and did the same thing on the second shim. And we're gonna kind of like lay them on top of each other, kind of like opposite of each other, and we're gonna hot glue those together, and that will kind of provide us a nice flat base. And then we're gonna assemble this Christmas tree. And then what I ended up doing is kind of clipping off a little bit of the top with my miter shears. It breaks off real easy, so that we just went ahead and folded it back and forth because my miter shears weren't quite getting through, but it was fine. And then we glued all of the sides together with some Gorilla Hot Glue, making sure that everything was nice and filled in and nice and sturdy. And then what I thought would be really cool is if we went ahead and added a base just to kind of give it a little bit of a tree trunk and a little bit of stability at the same time. So I went ahead and found center on this circle round that I pick up at the craft store. I always have them on hand because they're so handy and super inexpensive. And we just hot glued our tree to this little decorative wood round. Then I kind of considered leaving it in a kind of this unfinished natural state, but because I had those wood decorative stars that she sent me, I kind of wanted it to kind of blend into that a little bit better. So what I decided to do at this point was mix together a little bit of glaze and raw umber craft paint all together and create kind of like a stain that looked similar to the wood stain on the little stars. And I went ahead and kind of just generously put that on and let that dry. Making our Christmas memories. Then what we did is I wanted to wrap this in fairy lights, but I also wanted to attach the stars at the top of the tree. So what I did is I kind of killed 2 birds with 1 stone. To kind of hold those fairy lights into place, I put a little hot glue and I kind of sandwiched that in between the star and the tree with some hot glue. And then what we could do is wrap it around. And then also I ended up putting another star on the back side. But all I did is kind of wrap those fairy lights all the way down, and then we are going to hot glue it on the bottom just to kind of hold it into place. place so that the whole thing doesn't unravel. But that's it. Isn't that super cute? I just really love how this Christmas tree looks in the end, and I have a friend in mind that I'm gonna give this to. I think she'll really like it, or I hope she does. So you might wanna stay tuned for a bit. But I really love how this turned out. How do you think I did with the shims? Did you think I did an okay job? Let me know in the comment section below. If you're enjoying what you see so far, I would love it if you stuck around by hitting that subscribe button, and you're gonna wanna stick with me a little bit later because we're doing something kind of crazy. So if you wanna see what that is, stay tuned with me to the very end. This next DIY was super easy, and I thought of it almost immediately. The tiny pine cones, I thought that they would look perfect as earrings. So all we're gonna do is take some earrings. You can get these at the craft store, these like little earring bases. We're gonna take these off and just thread a little earring hook to each one of these. You could get 4 pairs out of this because it has 9 pine cones. So 4 friends, right? Super cute, kind of festive winter earrings. But I don't know, I think these are really cute. What do you think? I don't know if you've noticed, I've been wearing them all along. Super cute though. And I have a friend in mind, and I hope she likes them. The next items that we are going to be working with from the mystery box are those Scrabble pieces and the sign from Dollar Tree, which I know you've seen them. They're pretty easy to come by. We are going to make a Scrabble sign out of these items. I have a friend in mind for this project, and I happen to know that she has a lot of red and black buffalo check in her Christmas decor already. So I thought this would be really cute for her. So what I decided to do is remove that centerpiece. It comes out super easy. All you have to do is fold out the tabs and pull it out. Instead of ripping off that little label on the front, we're going to leave it, and we're going to just flip it over, and it will be a 2-sided sign that maybe she could use in her decor after Christmas. And what I end up doing is cutting out the scrapbook paper to fit in the back of this piece. Then I just take a glue stick and glue that to the back. And then what we're going to do is I found all the letters I needed for Merry Christmas out of the Scrabble pieces, and I want to make sure that it's really lined up. And unfortunately, like, the buffalo check was just big enough that I couldn't really use it as a guideline. So what I ended up doing is taking kind of a square dowel that would kind of distance it perfectly, and we're going to tape that down into place just to use as a guide for lining these up. And then we're going to just take our Scrabble pieces that say Merry Christmas and hot glue them into place using that hot Gorilla Glue. It should hold up really well. And then we're gonna go ahead and remove the dowel, and we're good to go. And honestly, the frame matches the Scrabble pieces perfectly. And so I decided to do nothing to it just because it really looked cute. And again, once she's done with Christmas, maybe she can flip that around and have a different sign. And I really hope she likes this. We'll maybe see. So next up are the napkins, and honestly, these are such a good thing to DIY. They make a great gift, and my idea for this is really simple, really easy. All we're gonna do is I went into Cricut Design Studio and found a monogram all ready to go with the letter B. So what I did is I went ahead and cut this out in some iron-on vinyl in kind of a metallic, beautiful gold in kind of a fancy design, very elegant, very classy, and I really feel like this design fits the mode. And I went ahead and just pressed it on with my Cricut Easy Press. I did it at 330 degrees for 30 seconds on the front, 15 seconds on the back. It didn't quite stick down, so I did it all again a second time with a little bit more pressure. It ultimately stayed on, then we peeled it back, and we had these beautiful classy napkins. Now I only have 2 of them because that was sent to me. I can see her really using this more as like a decorative tea towel in her kitchen. So we'll see if she likes it, but I really think it's cute. What do you think? Did I do okay? Hold up, I am on my way. I'm in mode. Now for our our last DIY before we do something kind of crazy. So don't leave after this because you're gonna wanna see what I'm doing. But we are gonna be using that Mixie Squish clay. Oh, this stuff, you know, really gave me a run for my money. I hope you like what I ended up deciding to do with it. I was actually, when I first saw it, I saw that it was air dry clay and I'm like, perfect. I love air dry clay. I've used it before on my channel, but what I didn't notice is that even when it dries kind of squishy. So it doesn't dry hard like a traditional air dry clay. So if you want to repeat this DIY, I would just suggest using a traditional air dry clay. You will get a more sturdy end result and it will end up working out. But this is like, I don't know, like kid foam. But here's what I came up with. We are going to make some coasters out of this. So the first thing I did is I just found a lid that was about the right size and I took out our clay and then I took the wood dowels that she sent me. I am going to use it as a rolling pin and this stuff is so sticky. It would have worked with regular air dry clay, but this stuff was so sticky, it just kind of stuck to the dowel. So what I ended up doing is just kind of doing it with my hand and kind of pressing it down with some wood that I rubbed. I ended up kind of getting it nice and flat to the best of my abilities because this stuff is not your typical clay. I think we're getting the picture on that one, but I did the best I could. And then I took that lid that I found and a straight edge knife and kind of cut around the edges and kind of pulled it away. And it was stretchy, but I ended up getting it okay in the end. It was just kind of a mess. I did it in a couple different colors and then I took the excess and kind of swirled it together and made another one because I didn't know exactly what I was going to be doing. These are all very Christmassy colors. Let it dry for at least 24 hours and you're going to need to rotate it so that it dries on both sides. After they were dry, I went back in and kind of tried to make sure that they were nice and round and had kind of even edges all the way around. And so I just double checked on that. And then what I decided to do, because the colors weren't going to work, is I took some white chalk paint and chalk painted them all out white because I went ahead and went over to Etsy and found some really cute elf quotes from Elf the movie. We really like that at Christmas time because what I've decided to do is make some coasters for my boys. I always have coasters around, but they're usually for grown-up designs and I thought it would be fun to make my boys some really cute coasters for the Christmas season using quotes from one of our favorite Christmas movies, Elf. And I printed it out on water slide paper, which is a new kind of paper that I recently discovered. If you haven't seen this before, I have a couple of tutorials and episodes on this because it's so much fun. All we do is print it out on our printer, then we take it outside. I take this triple thick clear coat acrylic spray finish and I do 3 coats every 15 minutes. Over the course of 45 minutes, you get this on and let it fully dry. And then what we're gonna do is we are going to cut these out, getting rid of the black edging. That was just more of a guide to help us know where to cut in the end. And then we are going to soak this water slide paper in water until it kind of starts to slide on the back. And then we're gonna set it into place and ever so carefully slide out the back and let that dry. And I don't know, you'll have to let me know what you think of the finished version of this. I did the best I could with it and I hope you think that the finished product is good. I think my boys are really gonna love these, and the best part is, since they're kind of a foam base, they're really not breakable, so there's that. But I think these turned out really cute. What do you think? All right, so I have been teasing all episode that I'm gonna do something a little bit crazy, and the time has come. So as a part of this challenge, Courtney has been throwing in kind of like a little extra challenge each time. Usually it's like something that we have to DIY with, but this time around, she wanted to do something kind of like a pay it forward. And I loved this concept because it aligns perfectly with my Give Joy to the World campaign that I introduced in my last episode. If you haven't checked out that episode yet, it's awesome, and I'm giving away a Cricut machine for free. Yes, and you have until my birthday, December 11th, to enter that. So if you haven't seen that, go watch that episode. It's kind of like a service advent calendar, and one of the things that I have on my service advent calendar is to give a handmade gift to somebody. Okay, so here's what we're gonna do that's kind of crazy. We are going to take some of these DIYs that we made today that I could give locally to a few of my friends. and we are going to doorbell ditch. And we are gonna give those gifts. Let's go doorbell ditching. Okay, so the first one we are going to doorbell ditch is my next door neighbor, Stacy. She's a good friend of mine. She's super sweet. I'm giving her the SHIM Christmas tree, and I hope she likes it. So let's be really sneaky.
Let's go outside, the snow is falling down and every child is having so much fun. The snowman is twice the size as me with a smile as quirky as mine. We're holding hands to keep each other warm while we stand and watch a choir performing all the Christmas songs that we love. Yeah, all the Christmas songs that we love.
So for the rest of them, I'm gonna need to hop in the car. They're in my neighborhood, but a little bit longer. The next one is for Emily. Well, there's two Emilys, so this is Emily number one. And I'm gonna give her some pinecone earrings like these. So hopefully she likes them. Let's go do it. We're here, let's go be sneaky.
Baby, with you, I don't need any presents as long as I spend this day with you. So beautiful, kissing on a mistletoe, baby, with you. Ooh, making plans.
Okay, so next up is my good friend Lisa Birmingham. She has a YouTube channel and she happens to live just right around the corner from me. I made her those beautiful napkins that I think she'll actually more likely use as like a tea towel. And so we are going to go doorbell ditch her. So let's do this.
Gonna go inside and drink our chocolate by the fire. 'Cause all I want is to spend this day with you. Let me give you a Christmas moment.
I don't know, I feel like a grown adult child doing this. It's so much fun. It's okay to doorbell ditch if you're leaving a gift, right? Anyway, so next we're going to the other Emily's house. I happen to know that she has a red and black buffalo check for her Christmas decor, so we're gonna go give her the Scrabble sign and hopefully she likes it. Here we go. This is so fun.
Ooh. And in a while we're gonna go inside and drink our chocolate by the fire. 'Cause all I want is to spend this day with you. Let me give you a Christmas moment we'll fill with love and joy. Love and so beautiful, kissing on a mistletoe, baby, with you, with you. I don't need it.
Well, that was a lot of fun this episode. I hope you had fun too. And if you enjoyed this episode, here's another one that I think you'll like as well. And if you haven't done so already, consider hitting that subscribe button right here. It's super easy to do. And I would love it if you joined the DIY Niner family. And to all of my DIY Niners, I just want to remind you that you are more powerful than you know. We'll see you next time. Bye.